Hello, I'm Sasha, and I'm in love with the most gorgeous guy in my year at school. His name is Adam, and the best part is, he loves me too. It took me so long to pluck up the courage to even speak to him, because we aren't in the same friend group. He's a footballer, so he was always hanging out with the other sporty guys and the cheerleader girls. I'm not a cheerleader, so I didn't think he'd be interested in me at all. But then, one day in music class, the teacher asked me to sing a solo piece, and asked Adam to accompany me on guitar. I was so nervous. I could feel my entire face turning beet red. But when Adam smiled at me, I somehow sailed through the song without making any mistakes. After class, he asked me if maybe we could make music together someday after school. My heart was jumping around in my chest, and I don't think I've ever been happier than I was in that moment. So that's how we started dating. Pretty soon, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I felt like the luckiest girl alive. Adam also just happens to be the smartest guy in our year. Smart and talented and very attractive. I was definitely winning at life. We started hanging out most weekends, either making music in the garage or chilling in the park. One night after I came home from the movies, my mom asked me to sit down. She said it was about time her and Dad got to meet Adam, and asked when I was planning on introducing them all. She insisted I invite him over for dinner the following weekend, and I quickly agreed. I was sure they'd love Adam as much as I did. When the next weekend came, my mom seemed pretty nervous. She always made such a fuss when new people came over, pulling out the best china plates and making sure everything was in order. I told her to relax and that she didn't need to impress Adam. Adam arrived a little early while my mom was still getting dressed, so I gave him a quick tour of the house and then went to sit in the living room. As my mom and Dad entered the room, Adam stood up to greet them. My mom actually gasped. My dad shook Adam's hand and invited him to come sit at the dining table. My mom suddenly looked flustered and dashed off into the kitchen. I sat down next to Adam and smiled awkwardly at him. What was my mom playing at? My parents were taking ages in the kitchen, so I told Adam I'd just go check on them. As I approached the kitchen, I overheard my mom saying, "I can't believe my daughter is dating a black boy. This is a disgrace." My heart stopped beating for a second. I decided to go back to the table. I couldn't bear to even look at my mom. Adam could sense that something was wrong, but kept smiling anyway. He was always such a positive person. My parents eventually came through and my mom looked more composed. I figured everything would be okay now. As we began eating the starter, my mom looked at Adam and said, "Oh, good. You know how to use a knife and fork, I see. I was just saying to my husband here that I wasn't sure if you would be accustomed to eating in such a fine setting as ours." I couldn't believe my mom had just said that. She was insinuating that Adam was some kind of barbarian with no table manners. But she didn't stop there. She asked Adam what his parents did for a living, and when he replied, she said, "Oh, your English is very good, and tell me, what language do you speak at home?" I looked at my mom, trying to get her attention to make her stop, but she just continued. I could see my dad starting to shift in his seat, and he did his cough, that one he only ever does when he's uncomfortable. The next thing she said was really the cherry on top. She asked Adam if he realized how lucky he was to be dating someone so beautiful, and wouldn't he be better off with one of his own kind. I could see the tears forming in Adam's eyes, and he put his head down. Before he even had a chance to reply, my dad stood up and started shouting, "Enough! Enough!" at my mom. He said to my mom she should know better, what with her being an immigrant to this country, and that she especially should know never to judge someone based off the color of their skin. My dad was furious. My mom ran out of the room and shut the door. We could hear her crying in the hall. I don't know what came over my mom. I've never heard her be so rude in all my life. That night, my mom came to me sobbing, saying she was so sorry, and that she had just been projecting some of her old insecurities about being an immigrant onto Adam. I refused to speak to her. Eventually, she asked me to please invite Adam back over tomorrow so that she could make it up to him and properly apologize. I could see she really felt bad, so I agreed. This time, I knew everything would be okay. What do you think of this story? Please feel free to share your comments and stories in the comment section below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.